Okay, welcome everyone. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in place, this meeting of the Southborough Municipal Technology Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirements to attend this meeting can be found at the Town of South Monroe's website at southmonroetown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so by finding the meeting at southmonroetown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Sorry, I laughed every time I read that. In the event that we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post it on the Southborough's website and YouTube in audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So we'll call the meeting to order at 7:05. And the first thing on the agenda, let's do review of the minutes from previous meetings. Thank you, Larry, for typing those up. We'll start with the October 20th. Let me share my screen here. Oh. So with their COVID, IT, public safety, resilience plan discussed. Okay, so this is the last one. We should have October. We'll do the 30th of September next, but this is the last one with Chief Achilles. Talked about fire and so forth.
Actually, I saw one error at the first line of Chief Achilles. I said much of the medical equipment is not Bluetooth, and it should be is now Bluetooth.
Okay.
So that's two errors. One is spelling Angela's name wrong, and the other one is this one.
Okay. Any other motions to update? Okay. So we will now I move that we approve the minutes as amended or updated with Angela's last name spelled correctly and with this not struck. So it is Bluetooth enabled. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay. I'm going to do roll call votes. Larry?
Aye.
Angela?
Aye.
And I also vote for affirmative. So October 20th is approved. Let's go to September 30th. Let's see here. Tim Davis and Recreation joined us.
I think you need to share it.
Oh, that's odd. Yeah. There we go. All right. So, yeah, Tim Davis Recreation joined us. Trying out this new MyRec service. This is the first year. Seems to be going fairly well for them. So when Chris started helping Tom out, and so forth. Looks We also talked about the flagpole. Yeah, the notorious town flagpole. All right. Any motions to change or amend?
No.
Okay, I move that we approve minutes of September 30th as stands. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay, need to vote. Roll call. Larry,
Aye.
Angela,
Aye.
and likewise, I vote affirmative. So thank you again, Larry, for putting those together. All right, let's jump on to the agenda. So on the first order agenda, we have invited Facilities Department Director John Parent to join us. And Tom, is it possible to promote him to panelist? Great. Hey, John.
Hi, how you doing?
Great. Thank you for joining us this evening. And as we discussed, I want to be respectful of your time. But by way of review, we're inviting each department head from various departments of Southborough to join us to discuss technology experiences, needs, strategy, see how we can help as a committee. And we spoke on the phone and discussed a little bit about some sort of CEDAR questions that, have this be free form. But, start off with how are things going for your department in respect to technology, sort of the basic potentially infrastructure like printers?
Going well.
Could I just request, since I don't really know anything about the facilities department other than what I can infer from its name, could I request that John spend like 2 minutes just sort of going over what his department actually is responsible for?
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. Yes, that would actually be very helpful, I think, to all of us. So, yeah, please.
Well, basically, we repair, maintain, and keep functional the various municipal buildings throughout town, excluding the school buildings on my department, as the school has their own facilities department. So basically, we keep everyone up and running. We try to keep them warm. We try to keep them cool. We try to keep everyone comfortable and happy. Not always an easy task, but one we do strive to do our best at.
And how many buildings is that?
We do the Historic Museum 1, 2, 3, 4. We're about 7 or 8 right now, I believe.
Great, thank you.
Shuffling.
And so
Actually, I take that back. I'm counting in my head. There's about 10, actually.
And your department's responsible for the buildings and maintenance inside the buildings. How about outside the buildings?
Grounds falls under the DPW.
Okay, so all grounds and of course parking lots, DPW as well?
Yes.
Okay. Exterior of buildings?
Exterior of the buildings would be ours.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you sort of mentioned that things are going well in terms of technology. You coordinate because there's a lot of work, obviously, between these different buildings. Do you use radios?
No, everything is cellular technology with us. We're cellular. Because of the way we function, immediacy is great with us. And also we text message a lot. I mean, because we know we're tied up, and if someone's working on something and we know what a text message or an email is generally a more appropriate methodology than calling someone or radioing would be at that point. We know they'll get it when they have a moment to look at it.
And are these town provided cell phones or is it yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How many town employees typically have town provided cell phones and cell phone plans? You're on mute.
That's actually a question for John, as facilities somehow ended up managing cell phones and never got that over to technology. So
Off Off the top of my head, I don't have that answer for you. We've never sat there and counted them. We do have a list of what numbers there are, but I don't have that in front of me at this time.
Okay. Is it common for most departments have town issued cell phones and most employees, would you say, or is it just only certain departments?
No, only certain departments and certain individuals that would need them for their particular jobs.
Okay.
And what's the head count in the facilities department?
Facilities department, we have myself, my administrative assistant. We have 3 full-time maintenance technician and 1 part-time electrician.
6. Well, 4 full-time and 2 part-time. Is that what I counted?
No, 5 full-time, 1 part-time.
Okay.
Okay. So and your department handles the cell phone plan, et cetera, for the town, is that correct?
Yes.
You do any tethering with your cell phone plan? Your like laptops for mobile internet? I guess most of the facilities actually have Wi-Fi in the building.
Yeah, so basically our emails go to our cell phones.
Okay.
And where is your base of operations?
We're based out of Corderville Hall, actually.
Do you have laptops or desktops?
Laptops at this point. We have 1 desktop left for our maintenance technicians. Basically, they check their emails when they're in their office. Outside of that, we're on laptops now. Thank you, Tom, for our laptops.
What are some of the biggest technology challenges related to your department, I'd say?
I wouldn't call them challenges. I think with facilities, technology basically focuses around HVAC systems, lighting systems. As we modernize, that's where you see your technology in facilities. Like when we do light replacements now, a lot of them are going on sensors. You can adjust intensity of lights, timing. You take the public safety building with its EMS system. It knows if a room's occupied or vacant. It can adjust itself. So basically, that's where technology lies with us. Like VFDs are a big technology. Basically, motors slow down, adjust their speed depending on the load to help you save money.
What are VFDs?
A variable frequency drive.
Okay.
So basically, if you have a heat load you're calling for, it will adjust the motor speed if you don't need as much coming into the room at the time.
Yeah. And is there any common software or service, or maybe cloud service, that aggregates either information or statistics or control, or is sort of every building its own little island?
Well, we have a couple EMS systems. Right now we have Corderville Hall, Town Hall, and the public safety and the library under EMS systems, which again, you can go into the program and check where statistics are running, what's running, how long, so forth and so on. Temperature histories in the public safety building is great. In the other buildings right now, we have programmable thermostats, and I'm getting ready to actually put some smart thermostats in a couple buildings where I can adjust temperature ranges and such. So we have a little bit more control over that. So it's, we progress as time progresses. But the big thing I find in town buildings especially is you don't want to over-engineer them. EMS systems are great in the buildings we have, but a lot of times people jump to the EMS system when you really can do pretty much what you need with just programmable thermostats and such. Certain buildings like the library and public safety and town hall, the EMS systems are handy. Other buildings, we can program and do what we needed to do.
I mean, the cemetery shack doesn't have an EMS system in it?
No, it doesn't have an EMS, but it does have a programmable thermostat. I believe that one's programmable.
Good. Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, only enough complexity. Don't make it more complex than it needs to be, because
the key is don't over-engineer. That's what it really boils down to.
Is your department also responsible for lighting, field lighting?
No, that falls under grounds. Grounds and recreation generally handle it. Technically, it's rec, but they work with the grounds department closely.
Okay, and grounds is under DPW, is that right?
DPW, yes.
Okay.
What about building security systems? Do those fall under your department as well?
Yeah, the alarms fall under us, yes.
Do we have, how does alarm? Yeah, I don't want to get into necessarily sensitive information if it's highly, confidential. We shouldn't bring it up in a public meeting. But do we basically just do our own building monitoring and have? I know we have a there's the tier on the phone poles where it's wired to public safety. Or do we have some other professional service that's monitors them and then alerts public safety? Is there
We have
independent-
monitoring systems, without getting into too much detail.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe that public safety has outside monitoring. I believe that's, they're there 24/7 watching their cameras. So
Do we have any buildings that have internal or external cameras? I'm good. Public safety probably does. But.
Yeah, again, yeah.
They're doing a
Um,
lot of really, interesting stuff in the field that you were talking about before with the ability to monitor whether it's lighting or thermostats, things like that. Is there any kind of goals that your department has for increases in efficiency with the buildings? Are you striving towards any type of, objectives that you've set, or is it just kind of on a basis as advantageous as buildings need repairs, you're swapping those out?
Well, no, as we're a green community, we've been using green community funds over the last couple of years to upgrade the lighting systems in the schools, actually. I've been working with their facilities department because the bottom line is when you're doing a project such as swapping out lighting, you want to go where the biggest bang for your buck is. And by far, the school buildings operate for far more hours than any other building in town. So needless to say, we start with the schools in that case. And we've just finished some VFD projects over there as well. The goal is whenever we can work with, swapping out equipment as we go, of course, we're going to go to something more energy efficient. And we're also trying to just make improvements to, get to that 20% goal of green communities.
Great.
How about the follow-up question to that? How about the insulation? Obviously, you can do, how is it important to use energy efficient heating, cooling, but a lot can be done obviously through improving insulation.
We actually, we did that in the first, it was either the first and second rounds of green communities. I have to go back and look at my files. We did spray foam insulation in several of the town buildings to see, they call it envelope sealing basically. And we also did the schools because the first thing you want to do with any building when you're talking energy is seal your envelope. If you've got big gaps where you're throwing energy outside, you're not going to get ahead really, no matter what you do. You must address the leakage first. I mean, it's great if you want to bail your ship out, but let's make sure you plug the hole first.
Yeah. Other questions for John?
Since we're on the efficiency sort of direction, and I think Angela actually asked this question, are there actually, how do I mean it, is efficiency one of the things that's regularly tracked, and are there specific goals like, do you currently have an electric bill for the town of $100,000 a month, and we have a goal of getting it down to $90,000 a month, and I'm just making up numbers here, but just, are there specific energy efficiency goals, or is it simply opportunistic? If we see an opportunity to make something better, we make something better.
No, exactly. As I was mentioned before, as a green community, part of being a green community is you make a dedication to trying to achieve a 20% reduction in energy consumption. And that's what we're working on. We've used 20% as our goal because of green communities. And that's a pretty noble number. But one of the hard parts you run into is if you weren't wasting a lot of energy when you start, it's a little harder to get to. So, our school buildings were running pretty efficient, it seems, because we've had someone come in and check out some of the data, and they're like, look, you're running efficient. You were running efficient. So you're not going to notice huge savings. And it's a catch-22. If you were doing okay, it doesn't look like you're doing great. So it works that way. But our goal was still 20%. You know, we don't give up on our goals because they were a little hard.
What was the base of that 20%? Was it a particular year or?
Baseline year for us was 2015, I believe, was our baseline year.
And how close to the 20% have we now gotten in the ensuing 5 years?
I'd have to pull open that number to look it up for you.
Okay.
What are the, looking to the future, what are the technologies that interest you the most?
Honestly, as long as we can keep improving what we replace and build upon things, anytime we replace like an HVAC system or something, that's a great opportunity to put in better technology that really does. High efficiency boilers, it's a night and day difference between old cast iron boilers. It just really is. So anytime we can take advantage of an upgrade or a change out, that's wonderful. And that's the way we like to look at things. Not only do we want to fix things, we want to make it better.
Yeah.
Are there big capital improvements that you see for the coming year that are needed?
In regard to technology, no, not from my aspect. Right now, we just finished up the library boiler project, and we're working on the library EMS project, and those are two really needed projects. The library boiler was made in the year I graduated from high school, I believe. And I just turned a half century, so that's not a good thing for that boiler. And the EMS system was a pneumatic system, which basically you have an air compressor banging away and making noise all day long next to the downstairs children's room, so the librarians could hardly think at times. And basically it was an energy hog. Now we're going to electronic controls, which they're going to have quiet finally, and you're going to have a more accurate system.
Hey, John, this is Will Warren. Quick question. There was a lot of controversy about the public safety building at the last town meeting. What has the experience been so far with the heating and cooling costs there?
Not too bad, actually, from what I would expect, actually. The electricity, about what we expected. Heat was actually a little bit lower than we expected. So again, we'll have to see how it goes over a couple years. You'll actually got to look at actuals for a few years and see where we are.
You know, when it comes to putting in new controls in other buildings, hopefully you're not making commitments about how much better it's going to be.
No, you can't make a rock solid commitment because it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, a lot of people do like to do exactly that. And it's nice to have, this is the range we expect it'll be at, but this stuff is not rock solid science. It just doesn't work like that. Every building's going to be different. And depending on how the building is used, how often it's used, whether or not usage schedules change, which does happen in town buildings, that all has an impact on what your savings would be.
If I remember correctly, the heating and cooling budget for the public safety building was cut at the last town meeting. Are we in danger of running out of money for that?
We're really early in the year. I don't believe we're going to, but again, you're really early in the fiscal year. You're still, September, you're only 3 months into a 12-month cycle, really.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for John? Of course, all these EMS, energy management systems, they themselves come with what might be considered distributed sensors, I assume, like temperature sensors, humidity sensors, etc. So I know that's sort of a big area that a lot of people are looking into is IoT, Internet of Things, right? A bunch of sensors distributed across buildings and so forth. I'm guessing the systems that we've deployed are fairly simplistic in terms of minimal number of sensors, and it's not like every room has a separate temperature sensor necessarily or a separate humidity sensor, right?
Public safety is pretty state of the art. Public safety is not your run-of-the-mill simple system. It's a nice system, very nice system, and I think it's going to work well for us. The other buildings are a little bit more simplistic. You got aquastats that tell you outside air temperature. They do adjustments based on that. But yeah, the new system's quite nice.
And can like, for example, can each room in public safety have its own climate control settings?
I can track each room in the public safety building. I can do it from work. I can do it from home. Thank you again, Tom. Basically, I can go in, I can look at histories. If I'm having a problem with the system, we can look through it. We can try to determine what's going on just by looking at our system. So that's actually quite helpful. We can call the companies that manage those systems. We can call the HVAC company and we say, look, this is what we got going on. Then you get the proper technician and repair person.
Are we doing radon monitoring in any of the buildings?
No, not at this time.
How about like CO2 monitoring?
I believe public safety may have that one in the system. I'd have to go back and double check, but I think that's in there.
Okay. You know, personally, I've really enjoyed for my own home this thing called Air Things. It does continuous radon monitoring and carbon dioxide as well. Do we have radon mitigation systems in any of our buildings?
Nope.
Okay. I know radon's common in the area. Okay, any additional questions for Director Parent? If not, thank you, John. Appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Please reach out to us if you have, if there's anything we can do to help support you, your department, or if there's particular technologies you'd like us to help investigate. We'd like to basically use this as the start the dialogue and leverage us where possible.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Hey, you too.
You too.
Bye.
Okay. So something I completely neglected to do early on in this meeting, was give a warm welcome to Angela. Failed to introduce her, but Angela was recently appointed to our committee from Board of Selectmen, and to replace the previous person who is no longer able to serve. So thank you, Angela. Do you want to give a brief intro on yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Let's see. I have lived in Southborough for about 15 years now. I have a daughter who's 16, who's in the high school here, the local high school, Algonquin. I've been in technology for 25-ish years now, starting with monitoring, overseeing help desks. I ran infrastructure for many, many years. I was at BCG for about 15 years. After infrastructure, I went into application development. I was the technology officer for EY's advisory business for about 7 or 8 years. And then about a year ago, I moved over to Bain to build out their next generation knowledge system. So I've done a little bit of everything in technology. I've managed small groups, I've managed large groups, and I really enjoy the field. I think it's a great field and it can make just great improvements in people's lives.
Great, thank you. And once again, welcome and thanks for your willingness to serve
Sure.
the
Thanks
town.
for inviting me.
All right, let's move on to the next topic on the agenda, which I anticipate, which is sort of a highest priority. It's the elephant in the room. It's the fact that, unfortunately, or good news for Tom, is he's moving on to a job that's closer to his home, and basically would love to discuss what we can do as a committee to help with the handoff of process, knowledge, documentation, etc., ensure continuity while the town works on a replacement.
So Matt, just one thing real quick, out of seeing who's in attendance, and out of respect of his time and not necessarily if he doesn't want to stick around for this discussion, we do have Mr. Challen, the chair of the school committee, who I know you had invited to talk about some of the school administration technology stuff. So I don't know if you might want to jump to that and come back to this.
Sure.
That's up to you.
Yeah, I invited Mr. Challen to join us. And if Mr. Challen has any updates he'd like to do today on school administration, like to find out. Otherwise, we can delay it for a future meeting. We didn't talk about any specific things we want to have to discuss for schools. But let's ask.
So let me allow him to talk here.
Okay.
And I will note as he's coming over that Mr. Challen was on the technology committee when I arrived in town, the original variation of the technology committee. So, you know, it's kind of full circle at the moment.
Hi, Roger, can you hear us?
I can. Sorry about that. Yes, I finally saw this little message. I'm not exactly familiar with this, with this structure. Sadly, I'm in a place where I have to continually mute on most of my meetings because people don't want to hear me talk. Hey, Tom, nice to see you. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
So, Roger, do you want to, I don't know if you're prepared or not, but do you want to provide an overview of, are there any significant issues the schools are facing with respect to technology? Anything we can do to help out tonight? Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the question. I don't really have an answer to that question tonight. As I think you and I briefly touched base, Matt, schools has been spending a lot of time trying to, catch up with technological support of remote learning and hybrid learning, and not just the student aspect of that, but the faculty aspect of that, all of the remote meetings that people are having. So I think that folks are still drinking a little bit from a fire hose getting that done. But I think that over the next I think couple months. Now, of course, none of us know how quickly things are changing in this whole environment as far as COVID and, what's going to be happening to schools as far as, are they going to be able to move more to in-person, because of kind of the governor's stance, or are we going to see a situation occur where they will have to go the other way? So it's a little early for me to actually even know, what some of the more significant technology, I guess, issues are.
Yeah.
Certainly would like to keep you all informed and potentially look forward to any help you can provide.
That's good. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. And let's definitely keep the communications line open and let's brainstorm on how we can help moving forward.
Well, thanks for allowing me to sit in, and I'll still be sitting in.
Great. Yeah, you're welcome anytime. I'd love to have you join us for listen. Okay, let's go back to technology department, process, docs, knowledge, handoff, and continuity. So Tom, provided a sort of overview of sort of the, I think what basically an overview of the handoff, right? This is like, what are the key things that should happen and how can we as a committee help with that?
Yeah, so just as a point of update, so I'm working with the town administrator to figure out who can take on some of the kind of bigger tasks that have been going on, like scheduling of remote meetings, who's going to be creating email accounts. We have the GIS project that just got started, so handing that off to a couple of staff people to at least keep momentum going, even if it's not making big changes, but at least keeping on top of the contractor to keep going while the search goes on. There are kind of a couple different ways that they're looking at moving forward with technology in the town, which I shared with Matt, but at this time I do want to kind of hold that close to the vest, just as some discussions going on. But the job has been posted, and we have had several applicants at this point that are being reviewed. So, you know, we're working as hard as we can to get this information documented and transferred. You know, and I've also I've shared in the past that, you know, I've offered to be reasonably accessible, you know, for reasonable assistance in the interim, and once someone starts, you know, being available as a resource. You know, and that's in part because that's the position I'm going into as well, that I have to reach out to the predecessor in my new community as well. So, you know, there's some synergy there, but the documentation that I shared with you earlier, I don't want to get into specifics tonight. Just really, if you had any kind of areas that you saw were really lacking, that were obviously missing, you know, definitely wanting to get on my calendar to have discussions with each of you, if that's if you see something that you think we need to beef up or anything like that. So
Do we
that's
have
kind of,
access to the team sites that are referenced in the document?
so at this time, no.
Okay.
And that's partially, and I was explaining this to Matt the other day, that's part of the reasons that I haven't enabled teams for boards and committees is there's a very fine line with, you know, open meeting law, you know, and, you know, if you start making changes to the same document, well, now you're starting to deliberate in not an open session. So, so that's kind of where that is. The other thing is that some of that information that's going to be on the team sites is going to be sensitive information that really should be held only by staff members, I believe. So,
Is it reasonable to assume that you're also putting together prioritized or semi-prioritized list of those things that you've been planning to do or that we've discussed doing? I mean, I think of trivial ones when I try to think of it. For example, one of the things that we talked about a few months ago was we really wanted to get a .gov domain.
Yep.
Real thing potentially, but having that on the list somewhere that says for the next person, oh, by the way, we really need to get a .gov domain.
Yep.
So I guess there's probably a long list with a lot of stuff above that, but.
So that is identified in the domain section. And then towards the end of the document is kind of ongoing projects. Yeah. Gee, you didn't get through 19 pages? No. You know, there is kind of a list of ongoing projects and the status, you know, a brief status of where things are on that. And a couple of those.
It looked like the .com domain was expiring relatively soon, like December 1st.
Yeah, so that's technically the next renewal date, but it has been, it's an auto renew and the invoice has been paid. So that will,
okay.
Yeah, so that's, you're not at risk of losing that one.
Tom,
Yep.
You know, you're sort of the go-to guy right now, and have been for quite some time. After you leave, who's going to be the go-to person, or will that be rotating?
So that's kind of the discussions right now. You know, I have to have some discussions with Chris, the part-timer, to see if he's willing to basically monitor the help desk system. And, you know, if he's not able to do something, then he needs to forward that on to administrators. And, you know, the thought, I believe, is that some progress will be made very quickly. We are looking at some interim solutions and some long-term solutions. So,
Roger has a hand up, Matt. I'm sorry.
It sounds like there won't be someone in overall charge.
No, not at this time. I don't believe so.
You mean until you fill the role, correct?
Right.
Until the role's filled.
All right. So Roger does have his hand up, so I'll bring him over.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, thank you. Through the chair, if I might, to Tom, I had a call with Greg Martineau, the superintendent, it was actually this afternoon, and I was aware of this before. He had mentioned that a couple IT folks from the schools had actually come over to the town this morning and had I guess I'm paraphrasing, so I may be inaccurate, had a bit of a walkthrough, related to the physical servers, et cetera. I'm wondering if there's anything you could share with the committee about what was accomplished, or can you?
That's the one that I was holding close to the vest, just because I didn't know where discussions were at the moment. But yeah, there is some talk about whether or not combined IT infrastructure is feasible in the short term and or long term. As some people have said, the opportunity presents itself, and you have to have the discussion. So
that's combined town plus school, is that
correct? Yeah. So again, I'm not going to speculate as to where those discussions currently are or where they will land. But yeah, it was information gathering today, Roger, whether or not they can, whether or not they feel they would be able to take that on or not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. I haven't had a chance. Superintendent wasn't be able to debrief me until tomorrow, but certainly the concept isn't confidential at all. And you're right. This is fairly early on, or very early on, as far as discussing those possibilities. But all right. So that's appreciate the update from your perspective. Thank you.
Yeah. So like I said, I think it's from what I understand, it's an opportunity to find partnership, and the opportunity is here. So they want to have those discussions. So where they go, who knows?
Okay, so it's part of the, I know you're obviously working on that document. Is there a sort of a meta level document that you're working on in terms of, here's the comprehensive list of things that need to be done before you leave, and that's including like finishing the document and other items, and handoff credentials and all those things.
The list is kind of ongoing in my head. To be quite frank, it's been the past 2 weeks and past 2 days of this week have been, I've been spinning, and it's, everyone's trying to get their last minute requests in, because, ultimately I think everyone's kind of afraid that they're going to be dropped off, so I have been very busy. I'm actually on site all week this week, the 3 days next week, and trying to get all this done, and trying to prioritize documentation. But
yeah, I mean, obviously it's very obviously nice and generous of you to try to handle requests when they come in and so forth, but continuity and making sure that things are not completely just dropped off is I think should be a higher priority.
Yeah. So and that's why I started putting the ongoing projects at the bottom.
Yeah.
So so that there's at least some kind of status. And again, when someone else starts, I'm more than likely going to be meeting with that person to have those discussions as well.
Yeah. So I don't know if it would help at all, but I mean, I would love to. I'll send you an email after this. And I'm going to take a sort of a green field. I mean, you're approaching it from, here's all the knowledge, here's your strategy, here's what needs to be handed off. Just for fun, I'm going to send you an email, Tom, and say, I'm the new guy, and here, for me to be successful in your job and what little I know about it, here are the things I would need to know if I'm taking over the IT department.
Yep.
And then we can sort of see how these things sort of match. Ideally, obviously, we would have somebody hired by now, and they would come to you with questions and say, "Okay, here's all everything we need." But maybe that might help.
That generally doesn't help happen in municipal. You don't have overlap. So
the luxury of overlap between employees.
Yeah. So that's been my experience anyway. That there's In my previous job, there was actually a multi-month lapse. Now there was a full IT department underneath the IT director, but there was actually a multi-month lapse under having someone as the IT director. So, so hopefully that is not the case here. Hopefully it's going to be filled fairly quickly, but there's definitely some work to be done.
You mentioned in the document that there's a help desk software that's being
Yes.
used. Is it like a ticketing system with a knowledge base behind it? So for common problems and common issues, the person could actually leverage that as a resource?
They could, and again, I haven't filled out those frequently asked questions. I've been using the system for a little over a year, and it's been, quite honestly, just get through the tickets, so it hasn't been really document, oh, well, this is a common one, so here's what to do. Some of those answers I've been able to provide to people through email response or whatever, but it hasn't been put into that
captured in there.
Right. But it does have the capabilities going forward.
Okay.
Okay, what else do you think we can do to help?
So again, at this point, I think it's, if you're seeing something that's not addressed, or you think that there's more detail that's needed, schedule a time to talk, and preferably,
Soon.
schedule a time with me.
Now.
Get on my calendar by tomorrow. Not that we have to meet tomorrow, but just get on, book a slot with me, if possible, by tomorrow.
Your official last day is next Wednesday, is that right?
So next Friday is technically my last day. I'm kind of going to be still on call for public safety during the holiday. So.
Okay. So yeah, for all of us at MTC, if we have a chance of reviewing that and just try to put yourself in the shoes of, if you were stepping in to act as Tom's replacement, what information would you want to see from your own, and make sure that that information is documented.
Will, you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted as well. Did you have anything to say, Will? Sorry.
Yeah, what I was going to say, Tom, are we in danger of anything falling over? Are we about to run out of space anywhere, or a server suddenly crash, or are we pretty much in a
So
sort of go forward basis?
If I could guarantee that a server was not going to crash, or tell you exactly when a server was going to crash, I probably would not be working anymore. That I'd be the server whisperer. But no, I mean, everything is running well, knock on wood. So I don't foresee anything coming real soon or anything like that. So
Yes, it sounds like there's not the server every morning you have to kick it a little bit.
No. There's none of those that I have to, talk nice to. So, and there are a couple of services that public safety use that, kind of sometimes need a little massaging, but I'm going to be doing some training with them and providing them some video documentation on how to do that themselves as well. So
would it be helpful at all? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Angela.
I was just curious if it would be helpful at all if we, posted the job listing via LinkedIn. I'm sure we all have quite a large number of technology folks that we're linked to.
yeah, I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's great.
Oh, Tom, are we facing any contract renewals that we need to negotiate, or new contracts?
No, everything is up to date for the fiscal year at least.
Okay. What are the major problems that come up, you know, on a regular basis?
You know, printer problems, you know, regular problems are, you know, it's the irregular ones that come up. That's the issue, really. You know, I can plan for any number of things and come in and who knows what's going to be thrown at me. So that's kind of where I've been lately. But you know, typical desktop support is a big thing. Yeah, you know, hardware has been pretty stable. Again, knock on wood, workstations and servers and printers. But you know, whether a printer jams and you know someone's not able to figure it out, or you know, mapping to another printer, you know, there's solutions that we can deal with.
Our security, you know, security, I guess the overall security is pretty much on auto-glide, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So things like phishing campaigns, those are things that you shepherd, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I can schedule a couple ahead anyway, but that's actually one of the things I need to document is how to set those up, just so that, you know, it's really easy, but, you know, at least here's where you go to set it up and whatnot, so.
Would the part-time person be able to handle stuff like the town hiring a new person and their setup, or like if someone were to leave and need to have their security revoked and things like that?
Yeah, he can do user management for sure. You know, when it comes to hiring the new person, you know, again, there may be a chance that they ask me to come back and just say, you know what, just get them in. Quite honestly, with the domain admin password, the person would be able to go in and set themselves up. You know, so, you know, and that is one of the passwords that's being documented and whatnot. So,
but the part-time person can do user management, including basic desktop, laptop administration.
Yes.
Know, joiners, leavers, movers. They can.
Yes.
With regards, you know, the infamous $90,000 of new servers.
Yes.
That was mentioned in an email. Is that something that can be put off?
You know, it's up for discussion. It's there as a capital request, you know, and there's any number of ways to move forward with it. You know, my philosophy is not having the ongoing maintenance of cloud, but that's neither here nor there right now. That's, you know, a discussion that this committee should have with the new person.
Were these replacement servers or additional?
Yes, replacement and on-site storage. So, yeah, again, the merits of that request can be discussed by this committee with the next IT manager.
Yeah, I've encroached that question with Tom, and basically this is something we should bring up with the next IT manager.
Do we have the details of what the 90,000 was itemized as?
So we don't have the specific the specs on the individual machines, but you know, we have the class of machine, we have the class of switch, the product line of the storage. You know, and Matt did ask me today, I think it was, to get the specifics on it. And really at this point, you know, with dealing with the transition and the fact that it's not something that we're looking to do like today,
right now,
you know, it didn't feel like a priority.
There's
to get
things
those.
That are higher priority for your time, like documenting handoff of the existing infrastructure, not.
But definitely, you know, ongoing strategy of, you know, servers and whatnot. That's something that this committee needs to put some thought into, and you know, the next IT manager needs to be able to weigh in as well.
Yeah.
With regards to the configuration of these servers, would they be a sort of a copy of what you have now, or do you anticipate let's say, a new configuration that takes advantage of new features or whatever?
Yeah, so the current configurations is 4 servers with direct attached storage. So, the VMs are tied to that physical machine, and the storage on that physical machine. The new configuration was with a SAN, so that it was shared storage, so we could do a lot of vMotion and a lot more consistent uptime and maintenance.
Actual HA. So if you lose a node,
so if we lost a physical host server, then we could still operate maybe at a little bit reduced capacity, but we would still be fully functional.
You mentioned virtual machines. Is everything encapsulated currently on the existing servers?
Yes.
So in other words, you would really be migrating those virtual machines over to new servers, right?
Correct, in a new environment.
With the SAN.
Right.
So that would require some reconfiguration within the virtual machines?
No.
The way I understand it anyway, it's, set up the new environment in parallel and then do a motion from the current server to the new environment. And that could be scheduled, but that would have some downtime, most likely, or at least reduced performance at the bare minimum. So.
Yeah, it's basically, we have existing things. We have existing ESXi VMware servers. This is the new VMware, and you do vMotion, which, migrates the bits over from direct attached to SAN, and then it'll migrate the actual virtual machine itself with ideally minimal downtime.
Right.
But to me, it's something we'll discuss with the new technology person. And really, it's going to come down to what level of mission criticality or high availability do we need for some of these virtual machines on-prem? And do we really need them on-prem? Can they run in the cloud? That already provides maybe some level of high availability and durability. From my understanding, there are some public safety virtual machines that it's pretty critical that they be on-prem and run with some sort of high availability. So if we have, one motherboard itself fail, it should be able to recover from that and not take public safety out. But that's something, again, let's try to defer that, because that's just a high level line item right now in a budget, and Tom's not going to be the person we'll be discussing that with anyway. So. Okay, sounds good. So I think we have sort of action plans for next steps with helping out Tom, reviewing the docs, and also ideally just sort of putting ourselves in the shoes of who might be replacing him, and see what documentation might be missing, and get on his calendar to ask those questions and document them.
Congratulations, and thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah, thank you for all of your service, Tom. You've been a great partner. I want to publicly say on the MTC, this has been a great partner for the Technology Committee, and appreciate all of your evenings you've dedicated to this committee, and also all the other committees. I know you're helping with Zoom and so forth. It's you've been a great service to the town. So
appreciate that.
Do we get to find out what town you're going to?
Yeah, it's public knowledge at this point. So I'm going to Tingsboro. So I live in Westford, and Tingsboro is the next town over. So, I've joked that if someone could pick Southborough up and move it, 30 minutes on 495, then I'd be perfectly happy. Yeah, that's all it takes. Just
it's a little bit closer to New Hampshire.
Yeah. So, actually, so it goes Westford, Tingsboro, New Hampshire. So it goes to Nashua. So, so that's. That was the contributing factor, was, my reduced commute.
Tom, you don't betray Massachusetts and buy your liquor in New Hampshire, do you?
Okay, I think we have a question from Mr. Challen. Go ahead. And,
I just wanted to again say good luck to you. you know, I haven't worked with you for a little while, but back when we were working more together, I really found you to be a professional, you know, and always willing to help out. I should say, however, that the traffic's not nearly as bad now to do this commute as it used to be. I just want to point that out to you, okay?
Yeah, I will say though, actually since the clocks changed, the cars on 495 going home have multiplied by 10. So it's creeping back up there.
I'm going to audit that. It's not multiplied by 10, but you know, it is greater, no question about it. My daughter lives in Westford, and when we were seeing them more often, I did notice that there just is more traffic. That is true, but still not like it used to be.
It'll get back there soon.
This is one of the planned corridors for Hyperloop from Southborough.
Hyperloop Southborough. Nice. Okay, let's go ahead and move on then. COVID-19 risk mitigation via technology. Zoom, how's that going?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we're looking for who's going to kind of manage setting up the meetings going forward. We are having some serious discussion about adding a third room. We have had a little bit more collisions and people having to shift meetings or have an abbreviated meeting to get it in. So there is some discussion going on around that. But the bigger issue is who's going to, you know, manage setting those rooms up. So we're having some discussions on that right now as well. We've identified 3 or 4 different possible paths for that as well. And it's just finding the right one that, you know, offers the capacity, you know, in man hours, really. You know, it doesn't take long to set up each individual meeting, but for example, I have 6 sitting in my inbox right now to try to get set up. You know, and so that's just a matter of getting someone trained to do it. You know,
Would that help to? I know we discussed this a little bit, but you have been training some individuals for hosting.
Yes.
I guess this is training for actual setups. Or is anybody doing, as of today, doing setup of the Zoom apart from yourself?
Just me right now. So again, we're trying to identify the person or persons that have capacity, and hope to have that person identified by Thursday so that, you know, I can do something Friday and Monday. You know, the process is documented. It's not a challenging process. It's just, you know, there's multi-steps to it between Zoom, the website, and you know, we use Sign Up Genius for who's actually going to facilitate the meetings. So, you know, so there's 3 different systems to go and do things in. So.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, beyond that, you know, we risk mitigation for technology. You know, the laptop deployment. I actually have 1 more to do this week, and that will put all key employees with laptops in hand. So if we are on a shutdown order again, the town can continue to operate remotely through VPN. You know, someone again asked about putting the VPN on their personal computer. You know, and I basically said no, I can't support doing that, just because I don't know what their level of antivirus, their level of patch management is, and them connecting to the town network is not ideal. So.
Yeah. And for all the devices that you are managing, the laptops, we have agents on those that are monitoring patch levels and so forth. And
correct.
It seems to be working fairly well, I guess,
in
terms of, you know, your ability to apply patches and keep those.
And it also at the same time allows the ability to do remote support, so a remote control session wherever they are in the world, as long as they can actually get the computer turned on and connected to the internet. We're good.
Great. And we do have encryption rest across all of this.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom regarding COVID?
Just curious, do we allow any kind of Citrix type of access for either vendors or any non-standard devices?
That is the one exception. Is I do have a couple of vendors that do connect via VPN. However, they are limited to, a specific IP or range of IPs.
And they get on like to RDP basically to Windows.
They'll connect it. They'll do the VPN in. They'll connect via VPN, and then however they need to connect to their specific system.
Okay, and you have limited for their particular VPN. It's a different VPN configuration than just
Correct.
a generic employee. So
Correct.
it's not like file server. This is not. I mean, what was it, a few years ago that a Target HVAC vendor got in, and somehow the HVAC system vendor of Target got in and compromised their credit card system or something like that, right?
Yeah. So as an example, I had one vendor, actually the vendor that's doing the EMS system at the library, just asked me the other day about VPN. So they have access to one IP and one IP only, is the way they're set up. And that's to their device. So it's not even like it's to one of our servers. It's their specific proprietary device.
Hey, Tom,
Yep.
you used the word vendor about 5 times in the last minute. So one question would be, are you going to leave us your list of contacts?
Yes.
And how would you recommend that we reach out to those contacts and let them know that, that someone else will be taking over?
So I've reached out to several of them already. Beyond that, when the new person starts, they'll do their reach out, and introduce themselves for the most part. The ones I've reached out to are the ones that I've had kind of personal relationships with, where they're actually coming on site and meeting face to face with me, because they're going to know more that I've moved on than say, one of the companies that all I do is place orders and it happens to funnel through this person. He probably gets commission for the orders that I'm placing, but I never talk to him. So, that one I haven't reached out to, but, any vendors that send invoices by email, I've actually requested that they start sending them to a shared mailbox. I think it's like technology accounting or something like that, or technology payables, whatever it is, so that's something that someone else can monitor, whether it's in accounting or town administrator's office, if there's a gap.
Okay. Any other questions on that subject? All right. Let's move on to cyber resiliency planning, something I'd like to volunteer for, and as we've discussed in previous meetings, I know, Tom, this is one of the things you've brought up recently, and something I'll reach out and continue discussions with Mark Purple about, is putting together a draft of that for the town and just try to keep it warm and moving. Obviously do it in partnership with your replacement. So MTC processes, we still have an outstanding, it's called a consulting agreement that Mr. Litt worked with town attorney on drafting for us when we want to leverage other volunteers or paid consultants, but we can't fully adopt that until we have a full complement of our 5 members, and Jeff was not able to join us tonight, so we can't discuss that. Are we done with the annual IT technology policy review, or?
No, that was put on there last month, and I don't think anyone had really had a chance to really review them, so there wasn't any energy put into that. That was kind of tabled until future. And yeah, this again might be,
Well, I
I don't know
table
if
it for
anyone's
the-
looked down.
Yeah, has anybody had a chance to review the town IT policies? I think we sent it out via email.
Sent it last time. I didn't send it this
Yeah.
month, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I got that since I wasn't a
Right.
formal member
Right. Yeah,
last
I
time.
didn't.
I'll send them along to you
Okay, thank you.
later tonight or tomorrow.
That'll be something we bring up with Tom's replacement as well. Okay, moving along. This might be a short meeting tonight. We could give Tom back some time to continue his work. The strategic technology plan. So I don't think we have that much to discuss tonight, but I've discussed with Angela, also helping us out, warm it back up again. Now is a good time to do so in preparation for next year's town meeting. Now, do we have a town meeting on the calendar already?
Yeah, it is. It's want to say, I know Sam chimed in last time. I think it was like March 20th, if I remember,
Okay.
which would be amazing if I got that right.
Is it-
March 20th is a Saturday, so I think that is the date.
And is that just the tip, obviously,
That's what they've set for a date.
depending on.
That's what they've set. So
Okay.
as of now, that's the date they're going with, and
Okay.
hopefully,
So
hopefully everything works and you guys can go with March 20th.
they're moving forward with obviously budget reviews and the budget
Yes.
finalization, just like a regular year. And we'll
Yes.
see what happens based on that. Okay.
So that gives us about 4 months roughly to finalize everything. So if I brought like a draft to next month's meeting and circulated it before the meeting, just kind of as a first step, would that work? And then everybody could give feedback on that draft and we could determine next steps.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. Larry or Will, any additional thoughts? Does that sound good? Okay. Yeah, thank you, Angela.
And I would recommend, having several meetings posted that you're discussing that, because I know that there are some other residents that may be interested in providing input or at least hearing the discussion on that, and having some time to kind of go make some changes before town meeting.
Yeah,
would be good.
Yeah, it is on our agenda, like strategic technology plan.
Yeah.
Generic item, but yeah.
You would take care of that, Matt, right? That would be something that you would do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take care of it. Yeah. In terms of a process, Angela, if there's ever a topic that's basically typically a few days before the meetings, I generally try to send out an email. I didn't do it this past month, but for this meeting, but I'd send out an email to the committee asking for topics to collect agendas, so forth. And we actually typically avoid, of course, doing any sort of group communication on email because that's considered a quorum. But for scheduling dates and collecting topics for agenda, that's allowed under open meeting law. So, okay, technology surveys and townwide services surveys. So this is also another area I'd love to collaborate with you on, Angela, and maybe we can bring. Yeah, I'm not prepared to discuss anything tonight. I don't think we have anything, but love to brainstorm with you and then bring it back to our committee next time, maybe on the idea of surveys for employees, and et cetera. Okay. I don't have anything else for the agenda. Any other topics?
Yeah. I mean, I consider that a fairly important topic, and because I think it feeds into a lot of the other things we're doing, like the strategic technology plan. So, I think it would be useful to just block out some time at the next meeting and focus on basically blocking out the survey. I mean, I don't know if we want to actually compose questions on the call, but I think it would be useful to basically create an outline for the survey so that we know what type, or the surveys, because there's probably more than one, but we want to know what types of questions and what areas that we want to focus on, so that we, either individuals or groups of individuals, can work on starting to put together those questions. Because we want to get the survey done, we want to get it posted, we want to get responses, we want to analyze the responses. All of that takes time. And
Before town meeting.
Yeah.
excuse me? What was that?
Before town meeting.
That's where I was going. I mean, I consider a lot of that important input to the strategic technology plan.
Will be.
Yes. Yes. We agreed. Yeah. So, yeah. Sounds good. So I think, yeah, I'd love, and Angela, if you could effectively drive the outline as you mentioned, and then that may cascade, and we'll see how it goes. That will cascade into, based on what sort of technology, what strategy we want to form, and what metrics accompany that. That will lead in, of course, what questions we ask in the survey. I think obviously there's a lot of interesting questions we can ask in surveys that are kind of fun to ask, but it really should be like, what are the key questions? And we try to minimize it, like, because what we don't want to do is give residents survey fatigue, et cetera, et cetera. So let's boil it down to the most key questions that are useful for, that are
People won't spend more than 10 minutes filling it out.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So let's go ahead and look at our calendars, if that's okay, if everybody's okay with it, and plan out our next schedule for our next meeting. We can put a tentative date, and I can check with Jeff, he's available. So typically we've done the third Tuesday or third Wednesday of the month. If we did the same thing for December, that would be the 15th or 16th.
15th is currently booked unless there's a decision to add
another Zoom meeting
room. So the 16th is wide open at this moment.
I can do either.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just double check that before I commit that. Oh, actually, the 16th is also full, and master plan is meeting on the 16th. So that would cause an issue for, I believe, Will.
Yeah, and it's also full because there's two. Yep. Yeah, it's already double booked. And what is the likelihood that the town's going to get another Zoom meeting?
I would say greater than 50%, but how much greater, I can't tell you. Again, I think they might be having that discussion at Selectmen tonight, whether or not to spend the additional money. So
I know it starts
if
to
I
get
were
quite
betting man, I
close
would say
to Christmas, but is the following Tuesday an option?
Let me get back here.
22nd. Thanks for joining, Roger.
22nd right now is wide open. Yeah, you're just starting to get into getting close, to the holiday. So whether or not that's an issue.
I'm just thinking,
I'm
next
okay
week's
with it,
a bit of a wash because we hit Thanksgiving, so it only really gives us 2 weeks in between meetings.
True.
If I don't know if people are open to doing the 22nd, but we might be able to spend a little bit more time.
Yeah, prepping for it.
Yeah.
Will and Larry, are you okay on the 22nd?
I am okay on the 22nd.
I'm okay as well.
Hey, 22nd it is. Thank you. We do 7 to 9. I'll schedule at least book one of the Zoom rooms through Outlook. Okay.
And that'll get set up this week most likely. So.
Oh, nice.
And Angela, just so you know, you should in your personal email have information about your town email. I did
Oh,
get
great.
I did get response from Chris that he was able to set it up. So if you have any issues,
Thank you.
certainly reach out to me and we can get those
See it
resolved.
right here. Perfect.
And
Thank
have
you.
you added her Southborough address to the MTC mailing list?
That is on the list of, that's in the process. So I don't know if it's been completed.
Okay.
The mailing list can be a little bit finicky. You have to wait a while for Exchange to recognize that the address exists. So
Is there any sensitive information in the transition document that you sent out to the committee?
so there's,
Yes.
I would say that there is a bit of information that gives some insight into what servers are and things like
So
that.
I won't include that document in minutes then.
Yeah.
No.
You can include the document title and then just say redacted.
Or
Yeah, I'll do that. I also, since we didn't discuss it at all, I won't include the 3 policy documents.
right. Right. And in all reality, while we talked about documentation, we did not talk about the specifics of it. So, you didn't really cover the document itself.
Right, we just had a meta-level discussion about it, really.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Interestingly enough, Tom, I'm looking up Angela on the mail server directory and I'm not finding her.
It could take a bit to populate.
Time to populate. Okay.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
That for the replacement.
Is it A. Varner? Is that correct? Is that how you
That should be
name
the
it?
case, yeah. Because there shouldn't be another. I've had, in my 4 years now, I've run into one time that first initial last name didn't work, and that was for spouses. So the second one is now first name dot last name. So
I don't actually want to rehash technical discussions that should have been a couple of sections back, but one of the things that you were talking about last month was enabling 2-factor authentication for all employees. Has that actually happened?
nope, I scheduled to do that. Pretty much the week after I had given my resignation. I had previously scheduled it, so that is on the list of things to pick up. It's just, I had some people that I enabled it for, and they were struggling with it. So to make that
It's probably going
change
to have to
now,
wait because multi-factor authentication is a support, and that
can be
requires
an issue.
change. Yeah, it can be a support issue because people aren't experienced in using it and so forth.
You
So
need to know about app passwords and things like that, which are
Right. So,
but it does work because I've been using it on my NTC email for about 3 months without any issues.
yeah. So yeah, I'm on it.
so
With
all
multiple accounts. So
just so I understand, all town accounts, at least Office 365 accounts, it's enabled on it, but it's not enforced, correct?
yeah, I believe you can set it up for yourself type thing. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's not enforced. So, okay. Yeah, so it does look like Angela is a member of the MTC distribution list. It might take a minute for it to show up in the directory, but yeah, you should be all set.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, this last MTC meeting will probably be joining Tom. So once again, thank you for all your service.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
luck in your next role.
Thank you very much.
And again, reach out in the next couple of days if you want to schedule time to chat. That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, I move that we adjourn.
And I'll second it.
Angela,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.